हम लोग भी खेल रहे हैं ना। आगे हम दोनों भाई हमें लगा कि हम लोग गए आज श्री मार्क का है ना। हाँ सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल साइंस मैंने बहुत प्रोडक्टिव सोचा कि मैं पहले जाके पढ़ लूंगी फिर मैंने टाइटल लिखा फर्स्ट पेज बड़ा खत्म हो गया वो नहीं पढ़ा मैंने दस अच्छा कि मैं उठे प्लीज थैंक यू बोल रहा हूँ नाम का मतलब क्या है कुछ नहीं मतलब है बस ऐसे रख दिया उनका मैंने बहन मम्मी के दोस्त ने एडजस्ट किया बस रख दिया तो रख दिया और कोई मीनिंग नहीं चाहिए तुम्हारा नाम का बचपन में नहीं होगा ऑफ कोर्स सुनने में तुम्हारा नाम रिस्ट्रिक्ट चाहिए तेरे नाम क्या मतलब है बेसिक क्या बेसिक अंकल नाम बेसिक अंकल सही है शर्मा के ठीक है ये के लिए नहीं इसको कौन लगा हेलो क्या बोल रहे थे मैं आगे से भी ठीक कर रही हूँ व्हाट स्किन केयर थी कुछ नहीं है भाई मैं आपका लेट सोती हूँ और सारे फ्री टाइम में चटोरे जैसे खाना खाती हूँ फ्री रहना चाहिए दो बार तो आप तेरा सेव के सेव नहीं समझ क्या ऐसा मतलब एवर टू टॉप और क्या है भाई वेरी बैड साइड बोलना पड़ेगा क्या करते हैं अपने हेयर को कुछ नहीं नॉर्मल सही है ना तो छोटे बट कितने सिंसियर और मुझे बोलते उसका हेयर अरे छोटा वाला कुछ नहीं होता है एकदम वॉल्यूम है शाइन है इसका जेनेटिक है बाल एक जगह खाली नहीं है एक जगह हम लोग अलग है अभी आज हो रहा है हेयर फॉल अभी बारिश का सीजन है ना हमारा जो हेयर फॉल हो रहा है ना उसके बाद हमारे हेयर है ना बारिश का सीजन है ना जितने हेयर फॉल होते हैं उतने हमारे से बाल सुनते हैं एक बार गाना गाना प्लीज यार मुझे सुबह से गाना गाने का मन कर रहा है वाह गाना बट फिर वो मुझे मेरी आवाज में वो गाना लग नहीं है ना तो मुझे थोड़ा इशू हो रहा है वो फाइल इशू हो रहा है नहीं उसका मुझे पता या फाइटिंग का तो सब कुछ हां फाइटिंग समुद्र वाला अरे जाना इसको गाने बोला इसका आवाज मेरे से अच्छा है वो इंस्टाग्राम वाला हां हां कंटिन्यू करना मुझे नहीं आता तो मुझे आता और उसके गाना देता मुझे नहीं आता उसके आती बस बस मेरा वैसे ना रेडी हो तो बैठ जाए यहाँ पे तड़पड़ते हुए दो ही घंटे बैठते पूरा हफ्ता यहाँ पर 2 घंटे बैठते मुझे पसंद है चीज को तो इसको पड़ेगा हाँ सरस्वती का क्या सरस्वती हो रही थी उसका प्रेसिडेंट के लिए नाम है स्पोर्ट्स कैप्टन के लिए प्रेसिडेंट तो नहीं थी वो प्रेसिडेंट नाम में बोला मुझे नहीं कंफर्म किया वो 2 पोजीशन में ऑलरेडी अप्लाई कर चुकी थी स्पोर्ट्स कैप्टन और प्रेसिडेंट हेड डिसिप्लिन ऑब्वियसली वास्तव में एडमिशन नाम लिखा था हेड डिसिप्लिन में उसने 2 क्या हेड डिसिप्लिन स्पोर्ट्स कैप्टन उसका नाम आया है हेड डिसिप्लिन में आया है और इसका जिसमें उसने कहा उसका एक भी नाम नहीं आया अदर्स का बट सरस्वती का एक में आया फिर वो रोक क्यों रही थी क्योंकि उसका स्पोर्ट्स कैप्टन थे ना हेड डिस्ट्रिक्ट का बैक था उससे बात की जैसे तेरा तो बैकअप में लिया वो सब अलग अलग बोल रही है कि अब मुझे बोल रही है कि मैं मुझे प्रेसिडेंट के लिए ट्राई करना था मैंने प्रेसिडेंट भी लिखा था पर मेरा प्रेसिडेंट का नाम ही नहीं आया उसका हेड डिस्ट्रिक्ट में नाम आया तुम्हारा नाम कौन है तो पूछा तुम्हारा नाम बोले हमने उसका नाम दिखाया नहीं जब हमने तूने मेरा नाम दिया मैंने जाके सब तीनों को फाइनल नाम दिया था ना जिस दिन तू एब्सेंट तेरा पेड़ तोड़ के ये स्टार्ट करके तो उस दिन मैंने फाइनल नाम दिया था और मैम ने मुझे कहा था प्रेसिडेंट तो सरस्वती नहीं है, उसने खुद ने अपना नाम स्पोर्ट्स कैप्टन और हेड स्टूडेंट दिया था। अब मैं बैठे वो हमें पूछना था ऑब्वियसली हमारा नाम को ना जिसका डाउट है ना उससे जाके पूछना चाहिए, हमें पूछ के क्या फायदा, हम थोड़ी उनके बीच में बाकी सपोर्ट हुआ था एक दो बाकी तो कैसे आता है क्या कितने होते हैं तुम्हारे प्रेसिडेंट्स? दो होते हैं बॉय और गर्ल, वो हेड बाय हेड का करना। हाँ वही तो अरे वही हेड बाय हेड का लिया, इस साल नाम बदल दिया है, प्रेसिडेंट कर दिया है। कौन बना? रिजल्ट नहीं है प्रेसिडेंट। आज इलेक्शन हुआ, फ्राइडे तक आया था होपफुली। तो किस तरह मैं किस भाई एक बात, इतने सारे लोग जिन्होंने मुझे वोट किया ना उन लोगों ने वो लाइक राइट हैंड साइड के बॉक्स में फिल किया और वो पलक श्रीवास्तव का बॉक्स से सोच उनको लगा कि एग्जैक्टली ठीक करना था क्या हो गया ऐसे जो सोच से पलक श्रीवास्तव ने फिर उसको मुझे मिल गया क्योंकि मेरा राइट साइड था एग्जैक्टली तो मैं कुछ बोलते हैं प्रेसिडेंट बन रहा और होता है हमारे मेरे पास मेरे पास आज ये सारे क्लास के जितने परफॉर्म किया वो कभी ना एक वन पर दिया सडनली 10 का सबको काउंसिल जाना है 7 पर किए 8 पर किए 9 पर किए सबको 10 पर वाइस करते हैं पूरा झूठ है ये सही और वो हाथ हम लोग उसके लिए जाते हैं हम लोग बाद में भाग के आते हैं Yes. Let's start with the sixth chapter. Yes, so I don't know whether very few people have brought your textbooks or you have brought your volume, whatever it is, it can be done. But as of now, whenever it is civics, since we have completed with the history portion, now we are studying civics. We are expected to carry your UT volume as we will be studying from UT volume. Civics is much better arranged and given in a pointer format when it comes to your UT volume. So it becomes much easier to study from that. Get that. Maybe. So starting with gender. What is the difference between the word gender and sex? What is the difference between the word gender and sex?
You agree that there is some difference between that? Yes. Both are same. किस-किस को लगता है दोनों words same है? No, they are not same child. There is a difference in them. What is it? Page number कौन सा है बच्चों? 49. 49 page number. Yes, tell me what is the difference between gender and sex? So let me tell you, sex is something which the doctor assigns. Yes. The doctor assigns to you at the time of your birth. The child born is a male, the child born is a female. This assigned terminologies that you get when you are born, based on your biology, that is what is called as sex. And what do you understand by the word gender, which the society accredits to you? लड़की है, इसको तो पिंक कलर का फ्रॉक लेके जाएंगे. लड़की है, बारबी डॉल से खेलेगी. लड़का हुआ है, ब्लू कलर का कोई सूट ले लेते. लड़का हुआ है, क्रिकेट का बॉल बैट जो भी किट आता है वो लेके जाएंगे. This tells us about the gender. Am I clear? These are certain stereotypes that the society gives, and the stereotypes that are given to you by the society. Yes.
And then why take the report like file of the hospital file to gender/sex.
It's because the doctors are trying to synonymize those two terms. Trying to do that, but the society will not let it. So it is never the transgender sex, right? It is always the gender that we call it as transgender. So simple as that. So when you talk about a male, when you talk about a female, it is very clear. It is the biology of that person that we are checking in. But when you talk about the gender, it is what kind of a role they are playing in the society. That determines the gender of that person. Why we are discussing all this about it is for you to understand how sexual division of labor has been done in the society. The males and the females are divided according to their titles and their gender, which kind of gender they belong to, which kind of biology they have, and the work is also divided on that basis. You must be aware, most of the countries, their political leaders, they prefer men because they feel that the men are more capable of taking decisions. They are more, they take more sound decisions rather than women. Even when it comes to contesting the elections, I don't know whether you have noticed that, but there are more of the men who get the tickets to contest the election and not the women. Reason is simple, because the men candidates, the political parties, they feel that they are much capable in collecting the votes. When it comes to women candidates, they do not feel so. Sitting on a chair, I can't have a proper look at the whole graph. That becomes new place for understanding. So that I can see everyone, I can't still see everyone. Because you have the corners. So work is also divided on the basis of the gender, that is the male and the female. But the problem is here, you know what? Sometimes the equal work is done by both of the genders, but the salary is not equal for many of them. When you look into the laborers, the construction workers, are they getting similar salary to that of their male counterparts, especially the women? No. The women are paid lesser salary as compared to the male. And while assigning this kind of work and dividing the work between the person more than the capability of that person, the gender is taken into consideration. That is the sad part. And it is not just in India that this kind of gender discrimination is happening, it's happening in the whole of the world. Take any part of the school. There is always some or the other kind of gender discrimination. Even if there is a female who is given more importance and males are given less importance, even that comes into gender discrimination. It should be neither this way nor the other way. The male are getting more importance and female is getting less importance. That is also gender discrimination, which is frequently happening. And if the males are getting less importance, female are getting more importance. This is also a kind of gender discrimination. So when we are talking about gender discrimination, it is not a biased perspective. It is something which covers all the areas of discrimination which is possible. All the permutations and the combinations that can happen. Then boys and girls are brought up to believe that the main responsibility of the women is household work and bringing up the children. Is it so? Just introspect yourself, children. I don't know how far the Indian societies are changing or how far it has been changed. I'm still doubtful about it, but still introspect yourself. आपके घर में अगर खाना नहीं बना, irrespective whether who makes that khana, whether it's being made by your mother or the maid or anyone else, if नहीं बना है किसी दिन खाना, तो आप सवाल पापा से जाके पूछते हो या मम्मी से पूछते हो? मम्मी से. Why has the mummy always to be answerable that why the khana is not made? Why is not papa answerable? Khana क्यों नहीं बना? Is it necessary that always all the mothers are at home? वो एक बार है वो एक रह जाता है एक इफेक्ट्स पिलर इफेक्ट और एक सोशल इफेक्ट कहते हैं ना उससे कि खाना नहीं बना तो बस मम्मी को जाके पूछना क्योंकि रिस्पांसिबिलिटी उनकी है. Yes. So this responsibility term is very important here. That's what I was trying to catch. ये responsibility हमेशा माँ की ही क्यों होती है? Why is this not shared by the men? ये खाना का तो ठीक है, इसमें प्रैक्टिस चाहिए, स्किल चाहिए, जो men के पास mostly not, but there are certain men who cook really very well, but most of them do not manage to do that. So this responsibility is basically taken care by the women. But when it comes to sharing other household work also, the responsibility again falls on mama, the woman of the house. कपड़े धुले हुए नहीं है, अरे कहाँ गए, क्यों नहीं हुआ? अगर क्या बोला था मम्मी ने तेरे को? बोली मम्मी को याद दिलाना कुछ. मम्मी मम्मी को याद दिलाना. This is what we are trying to catch with. Why always मम्मी? पापा को भी याद दिला दे. So मम्मा का यहाँ पे डबल रोल नहीं हो रहा क्या बच्चा? मम्मा डबल रोल नहीं प्ले कर रही है क्या? घर का भी कर रही है, ऑफिस का भी कर रही है. और ऑफिस में जाकर वो भी तो पैसे ही कमा रही है, कौन सा वो अलग से कुछ पत्थर वत्तर थोड़ी उठा के लेके आएगा ऑफिस से. ऐसा तो नहीं है. उसको भी क्या दिया जा रहा है? पैसा ही दिया जा रहा है. And in some cases women are earning more than men. बट स्टिल वो घर का जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो तो उसी को देखना है. ये होता है, होना नहीं चाहिए बट ये होता है. एंड यू नो व्हाट, nowadays there is a concept of liberalization, and this concept of liberalization has been taken up by Indian men too seriously. They say कि हम तो शादी के बाद लड़की को जॉब करने की परमिशन देंगे. परमिशन देंगे. ये परमिशन लेना क्यों पड़ रहा है बेटा? ये क्वेश्चन नहीं है, ये बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है. ये परमिशन देने वाले आप not to think, right? But still there are people who say कि हम तो हमारी बहू को जॉब करने का परमिशन देंगे, but terms and conditions apply. वो घर का सारा काम करने के बाद जॉब भी कर सकती है. तो जॉब में एक ऑन एन एवरेज 8 आवर्स तो एक आदमी का चला जाता है, प्लस दूर होगा तो ट्रैवलिंग भी पकड़ लो. लेट्स से 1 घंटे का ट्रैवलिंग भी गया, तो इस औरत का दिन में टोटल 9 आवर्स घर के बाहर जा रहा है. दिन में 24 आवर्स ही बचते हैं, उसमें से मान लो 8 घंटा वो सोएगी ना. 8 घंटा सोने का तो टाइम खैर उसको मिलेगा ही नहीं. 7 घंटा मुश्किल से वो सो लेगी, 6 घंटा सो लेगी, जगल करेगी. उसके बीच बैठे बैठे उसके दिन भर के निकल गए 15 घंटे. और उसके बाद जो भी टाइम बचता है 8-9 घंटे या फिर उससे भी कम टाइम जो बचा है, उसमें उसको घर संभालना है, बच्चा संभालना है. Mostly as a teacher, I observe whenever there is a PTM meeting या parents meet होती है schools में, यहाँ पे नहीं, coaching का नहीं कह रही हूँ, coaching में शाम को रहता है तो parents, male parent, female parent दोनों आ पाते हैं, but जो सुबह के school में जो parents meet होता है ना, उसमें पापा नहीं आते, मम्मी ही आती है।
मतलब मम्मी को बोलती आप चले जाओ मैं एग्जाम पे
And the sad part is even if both the parents are working, मम्मी ही छुट्टी लेकर आती है पेरेंट्स। Why? पापा को भी तो छुट्टी मिल सकती थी ना शाम को, पापा आते हैं छुट्टी लेकर। ये बच्चे भी ऐसे ही है कि नहीं पापा आप मत चलो, वरना हमारी इतनी शिकायत सुनने को मिलेंगी कि आप घर आके हमें पूछ के हमारा अचार बना दोगे। इससे अच्छा है कि हम मम्मा को ही लेके जाए, वो समझती है हमें, वो भी होता है, वो भी एक है, बट still it's a question that you need to think about. Girls and boys both are brought up to believe that the main responsibility of the woman is housework and bringing up of the children. एक मूवी आया था बीच में मैरीकॉम का, मैरीकॉम मूवी में आपने देखा होगा कि कैसे वो शुरू में रेसलिंग करने के बाद जब अपने बॉक्सिंग करी, जो भी करी, उसमें उसके पेरेंट्स ने उसकी ग्लव्स जला दिए। ग्लव्स क्यों जला दिए कि भाई वो करे नहीं, वो स्पोर्ट को ले नहीं, उसे परस्यू नहीं करे, क्योंकि उससे उसका चेहरा खराब हो सकता है, क्योंकि मार लगेगी तो चेहरा खराब होगा, और चेहरा खराब हो गया तो कौन सा लड़का उससे शादी करेगा। सो दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ कल्चर दैट ये हर जगह पे है। से ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है कि जो मैं इतनी सारी बातें कर रही हूँ यहाँ पे बैठ के आप लोगों को सिखा रही हूँ, मतलब मैं कंप्लीटली जेंडर बायस्ड नहीं हूँ, या फिर मैंने ऐसे कोई बायसेस कभी करे ही नहीं है, ऐसा मैं कोई दावा नहीं कर रही। Simply because this is a part of the syllabus we are discussing on that, and I want to make the discussion a bit lively. That's why I'm sharing much of the examples. Otherwise, जो आपके बुक में लिखा है उतना ही पढ़ के, उतना ही एक्सप्लेन करके, इंग्लिश का हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन देकर हम आगे निकल सकते थे। But in order to help you remember these pointers on a long term, I am taking up many examples where you can correlate that. Women do all the work inside the home, such as cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, and tailoring, looking after the children, and men do all the work outside the home. देखो एक बात बताती हूँ मैं आपको, अगर एक आदमी टेलर बनता है तो उसे उसके काम के पैसे दिए जाते हैं। इनफैक्ट उसे टेलर कहा भी नहीं जाता, आजकल उसका नाम थोड़ा प्रमोट करके उसको टेलर से फैशन डिजाइनर कहने लगते हैं लोग। यस, एक करता क्या है, वो कपड़े ही सिल रहा है, लेकिन वो आदमी है ना, तो उसके कपड़े सिलने की एक्टिविटी को भी क्या किया जाता है, ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस दिया जाता है। बट अगर वही एक औरत कपड़ा सिलने लगे तो उसको फैशन डिजाइनर के नाम से एक्सेप्ट करने में भी समाज को टाइम लगेगा। Yes, people will take time to accept her as a fashion designer, even if she has done a particular course in that. उल्टा लोग उसको चिढ़ाएंगे, अरे वो तो टेलर कर रही है। अगर घर पे औरत कितना भी अच्छा खाना बनाए, वो समझा जाता है उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, उसे तो करना ही है ये काम। बट अगर घर से बाहर मर जाके खाना बनाए तो वो तो शेफ है, शेफ। You know how the things are carried. So same thing the woman is doing at home. अब पति जितना भी अच्छा शेफ क्यों ना हो, घर पे आके खाना तो बीवी के हाथ से ही बनवा के खाएगा, because that's the patriarchal thought process that is going on in the world. I'm not just blaming India for that, rather in the whole world. What is the conclusion of that? ऐसा है कि मर्द रोटी नहीं बना सकते, ऐसा है कि men they can't go and dry the clothes, they can't wash the clothes, they can't wash the utensils, ऐसा है उनको नहीं आता है ये काम उनको आता है और वो ये काम कर भी सकते हैं, लेकिन बस फर्क ये है कि वो इन कामों को करना नहीं चाहते हैं। I am not again saying it's about all the men, I am just pointing out to those who are having such kind of gender biases in their minds. Okay? ऐसा नहीं समझना है कि यार किस क्लास में आके फंस गए हम लोग सारे बॉयज मेरे क्लास के, ये ना सोचने लगता है कि मैम आज के दिन आना ही नहीं चाहिए था ये क्या सुन रहे हैं हम, तब से हमारे ऊपर टॉर्चर हो रहा है। ऐसा नहीं है, मैं जानती हूँ आप बहुत होनहार हो, बहुत अच्छे बच्चे हो, आप अपने घर में अपनी मम्मी का भी हाथ बटा लो, आगे चल के आप अपने वाइफ का भी हाथ बटाओगे, और उससे भी आगे चल के आप अपने बेटियों का और अपने डॉटर इन लॉ का भी हाथ बटाओगे अपने कामों में। दैट इज व्हाट इज एक्सपेक्टेड आउट ऑफ अ गुड decent person, human being from the both. एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ घर के काम में ही बल्कि हर डिसीजन मेकिंग में भी एक दूसरे का साथ देना ही सक्सेस फॉर अ बेटर लाइफ. So what's the conclusion? Men can also do these work. It's not that only women has to do them, which is usually done by the women. It's also men can do that. But these work are usually left of the share for the women to do it. Because ये ऐसे काम होते हैं जिसको ऐसा नीचे देखा जाता है. घर का काम मतलब एकदम वेस्ट का काम. You know, many of the housewives एक सर्वे हुआ था. इस सर्वे में औरतों से स्पेशली वो औरतें जो कहीं कमाने नहीं जाती, जो घर पे रहती हैं, हाउसवाइफ होती हैं, उनसे पूछा गया था कि आप को अपने पास पैसे कहाँ से मिलते हैं. सो दे आंसर कि हम तो खुद से पैसे कमाते नहीं है, तो वी हैव टू आस्क मनी फ्रॉम आइदर फ्रॉम आवर डैड्स or we have to that or from our husband. But then when they used to give this money in return, they will ask for हिसाब, कहाँ कितना खर्चा किया तुमने. Why does she have to answer about it? अगर वो हिसाब दे रही है तो आप उसको घर के कामों की सैलरी दे रहे हो क्या? वो जितने भी काम एज अ हाउसवाइफ घर में करती है उसका सैलरी मिलता है क्या उसको? तो फिर वो हिसाब क्यों दे कि उसने उस पैसे को कहाँ खर्च किया. और वैसे भी उसने जितने काम किए होते हैं उसके कंपैरिजन में वो एक हाउसवाइफ जो पैसे मांगती है ना वो बहुत कम होता है, बहुत ही कम. Yes, so this kind of discriminations they do happen. And even when it comes to investment, you know what happens? Many of the Indian women, they don't do the investment decisions themselves. They rely on men. पैसा कमा के लाती है. There are many women who even earn more than their husbands. But when it comes to investing that money, plot में खरीद invest करना है, mutual funds में करना है, कहीं पे भी करना हो, they will give that money in the hands of their husband and they will say, "आप this." Why this liberty is not taken by the women to decide where she wants to invest that? It is not that these jobs cannot be done by the men. They also can certainly do it, but these are usually done by the women because it is left for her share. And you know, अगर कोई चीज सही time पे ना मिले, suppose she is a working woman and if she is not able to give certain things at the correct time, at a proper time in the hands of that particular man of a family, then ऊपर से डांट भी खानी पड़ती है. Especially ससुर हो या पति हो तो वो सीधा डांट ही लगा देते हैं. तुम्हें तो कब से मैंने कहा था कि मेरा ये शर्ट इस्त्री करके रखना, तुमने अभी तक नहीं किया. वो खाली थोड़ी बैठी है. उससे पहले सब कैसे अगली वो एक्चुअली आजकल अब ये भी हो रहा है कि बेचारे लड़के कुछ करते भी नहीं है लेकिन अननेसेसरी कुछ केस में फंस जाते हैं. ऐसे लॉयर आया कम केसेस ऑल्सो जहाँ पे बेचारे लड़कों की लिटरली कोई गलती नहीं होती है लेकिन उन लोगों को अननेसेसरी लड़कियां किसी ना किसी केस में फंसा देती है. So it has to be neither that extreme, it has to be neither this extreme. There has to be a middle path for that. And sadly, it's not there in our society. So when these jobs are paid for men, they paid for men are readily able to take up this. Anyways, when they are trying to say that when the jobs are paid, men they readily take up these work, and most tailors or cooks in the hotels are men. Similarly, it is not that women do not work outside their home. Okay, and not every work that they do is paid that I have already discussed, but women in villages, they also have to do the house ka work by going outside the home. For example, fetching water. You must be aware in Rajasthan, especially the Jetsar kind of area, there is so much of water shortage. And women, they have to literally travel 2 kilometers every day to bring water for their homes. अभी इतना जा रही है पानी कलेक्ट कर रही है एंड अगर वो औरत पुअर हुई तो और ज्यादा डिसएडवांटेज हो जाती है. शी हैज टू कलेक्ट द फॉरेस्ट वुड फॉर द फ्यूल. शी आल्सो हैव टू वर्क इन द फील्ड एंड इस सब का तो कुछ भी हिसाब नहीं होता है, कुछ भी हिसाब नहीं. कोई इसका कैलकुलेशन नहीं रखता, कोई इसका एक्रेडिशन नहीं देता, कोई एक्नॉलेज नहीं करता. फॉरगेट अबाउट द अप्रिसिएशन. अप्रिशिएट तो कोई भी नहीं. तो ये ऐसे काम है जो औरतें करती हैं. एंड सैड पार्ट इज दीज आर विलेज वुमेन, दे आर अनएजुकेटेड. Adding to their sadness, the more thing is one more thing that gets added is that they are poor. The poor women especially, they work as domestic help in middle class homes. while the middle class women work in offices. घूम फिर के जिंदगी दोनों की एक जैसी ही होती है. तो मिडिल क्लास पढ़ी लिखी औरतें कहाँ जाके काम कर रही है, ऑफिस में काम कर रही है. एंड लोअर क्लास के जो औरतें हैं, पुअर औरतें जो है वो कहाँ जाके काम कर रही है, इन्हीं मिडिल क्लास औरतों के घरों में काम कर रही है एज ए डोमेस्टिक हेल्प. But then ultimately their life revolves around some kind of similar philosophies, although they are little better in the terms of money, but the conditions that they are facing is more or less the same. In fact, the majority of women do some sort of part-time work in addition to domestic labor, but their work is not valued and it does not get any recognition. Now, I'll tell you, it's not, I'm not saying that the family was bad, but I'm just giving you an example. In my colony, before where I used to stay, there was a woman. She was a housewife and अपना खुद का वो कुछ करना चाहती थी. Always she added कि मेरा खुद का कुछ हो, मेरा खुद का कुछ हो. And she was not skilled, you know, not a very skilled kind of thing. सब beautician का वगैरह कुछ कोर्स उन्होंने नहीं किया था. She then started up doing this kind of small packets like turmeric powder, mirchi powder, जो वो बेच सके, मसाले वगैरह पैक करके वो अपने कॉलोनी के लोगों को सेल करती थी, औरतों को सेल करती. Then she also learned that art of doing that fall weaving and साड़ी पे जो फॉल लगाते हैं, जो पिको का काम होता है, वो भी उन्होंने सीखा, वो भी वो करने लगी. Her income was not very high. Certainly, it was not very high. But whatever she earned from that, it did give her a sense of independence. It did give her a sense of great independence. And whenever her parents were in need, it was always she who first went to offer them the money that she had. Little bits and bits she had collected and saved. She used to take that money and she used to offer. Her parents were really sick and they were growing old also. So naturally they were getting sick also. Her brothers, they never turned up to help her parents, but it's always she who went to help. So that's the dilemma. जब औरतों के पास खुद के पास ही इतना कम होता है, वो उसमें भी शेयर करती है, वो उसमें भी बांटती है. लेकिन मैन के पास चाहे जितना भी हो, मैन की सैलरी हमेशा उस मैन की होती है, लेकिन विमेन की सैलरी पूरे परिवार की होती है. That is the difference that we are seeing in the society these days. And even after that, the women work, doesn't get any values. Participation of women in public life. Moving on to the next part. So the result of the division of labor is that although women constitute half of humanity, their role in the public life, especially politics, is minimal in most of the society. That's completely true. Even if you see in villages, you will rarely find a village having a women's sarpanch. You will rarely find. I'm not saying you will not find it. There are, but it is very less. Rarely you can see such thing. So it's minimum when it comes to women and politics. Women are not given much priority over that. But yes, I must say there is a remarkable name of a women in politics, especially the politics of India, and she is Indira Gandhi. In spite of being a woman, she was so dominative and authoritative that the entire cabinet and the council of ministers used to bend in front of her when she spoke. So that kind of aura, that kind of charisma, it's needed for every woman in India. It's probably that somewhere it's lacking. Earlier, only men were allowed to participate in the public affairs, vote and contest for public offices. Now, what has been done, in order to increase the women participation in the politics, especially the panchayat and the local self-government that you can see, the municipal corporation and the municipality for city areas, they have done 33% seats reservation for women. But what happens when the seat is reserved for a women candidate? The woman is made to stand for the election. She wins the election. She gets the vote. She wins the election. Initial 1 or 2 meetings she attends. Rest all the meetings are attended by her husband. Yes, this is happening in most of the villages these days. The women's name is just put on record. The decisions are taken by the husband. क्योंकि औरत कहाँ होती है, तो घर पे होती है, खाना बना रही होती है, बच्चों का देखभाल कर रही होती है, चूल्हा चौका संभाल रही होती है, तो क्या वो इन मीटिंग्स में आ सकती है? That's why is that disturbance. Obviously, she doesn't get that opportunity to come for those meetings, and she ends up being there back at her homes. And when she's back at her home, who comes and takes the decisions on her behalf? It's her husband. That's the sad part. And Most of the times what happens, these women are also uneducated, तो उन्हें पता नहीं चलता कि प्रॉब्लम क्या था, प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन क्या लिया था, लिखा हुआ होता है और उस कागज पे वो बस क्या लगा देती है, एंड जो भी डिसीजन लिया गया है वो उसे बताया कुछ और ही जाता है और डिसीजन कुछ और ही लिया हुआ है. So this is also a kind of cheating that is happening in the Indian villages. Not all, but yes, some items of them. Gradually, the gender issues raised in the politics, women in different parts of the world were organized and educated for the equal rights. क्या हुआ? पूछो.
हाँ, देखो फेमिनिस्ट बोलते हैं जो दोनों जेंडर के राइट्स के लिए लड़ते हैं। तो वो सिर्फ फेमिनिस्ट ही तो वो गलत है दोनों जेंडर के राइट्स।
Actually, feminist इसीलिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि इन पूरे ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड में भी देखा जाए तो फेमिनाइन जेंडर को हमेशा नीचे रखा गया है, पैट्रियार्की को ज्यादा प्रोमिनेंट की गई. डोमिनेंट कौन ज्यादा होते हैं? मेल ज्यादा डोमिनेंट होते हैं. अगेन आई एम नॉट सेइंग दिस इज प्रोमिनेंट इन or this is prevalent in all the kind of societies. There are certain exceptions for that. Certain tribal groups, they give importance to their matriarchal lineages also. But मैक्सिमम देखा जाए तो परिवारों में किसका नाम लिया जाता है? पप्पा का नाम. आप जब अपना कोई फॉर्म भी फिल करते हो तो अपने मिडिल नेम में अपने मम्मी का नाम नहीं लिखते हो, किसका नाम लिखते हो? पप्पा का नाम. तो बहुत सारे ऐसे फैमिलीज भी होते हैं बेटा जो आजकल ऐसे हैं जो ऑर्गेनाइज होकर दे आर गिविंग इम्पोर्टेंस टू द वुमेन आल्सो. बट फेमिनिस्ट वर्ड का इस्तेमाल इसलिए किया गया है क्योंकि इक्वल राइट्स के लिए फाइट किया जा रहा है औरतों के लिए, क्योंकि औरतों के लिए समानता नहीं. दैट्स व्हाई दैट वर्ड फेमिनिज्म है. बिकॉज हम इक्वालिटी चाहते हैं. हम फेमिनिज्म मतलब ये नहीं है कि अब हम और मर्दों को जूता मारेंगे, इतने दिनों से हमारे ऊपर जो अत्याचार हुआ मार मार के हम बदला लेंगे. That's not feminism. That's not feminism. Those terms are different. I think you must have come across this word misogynist and misandrist. Misogynist वो लोग होते हैं they hate women. उन्हें लगता है सारे राइट्स मैन के पास ही होने चाहिए. Misogynist
आजकल नहीं करते चेंज ही करते हैं तो दोनों का
सरनेम. पुरानी शादियों में तो नाम भी बदल दिए, नाम भी बदल दिए. शादी से पहले नाम कुछ और होता था, शादी करके आने के बाद और ताकि उसकी आइडेंटिटी ही बदल जाए. Forget about the surname. नाम भी बदल. Class. Let's get back. We are not on a debate here. We are just discussing the concepts. No debate. I know you are very excited to debate on this, but
अब एक डिबेट सेशन होना चाहिए।
नहीं बेटा, आज नहीं. पूरे 2 हफ्ते के बाद मुझे क्लास मिला है और मैं डिबेट करने में ये क्लास नहीं जा रहा. बट यस आई प्रॉमिस हम डिबेट जरूर करेंगे. डिपेंड्स जब आपका ये पूरा क्वेश्चन हो जाता है. शंभू इज द विटनेस फॉर दिस. वो तुम लोगों की तरफ से गवाही देगा कि डिबेट मैंने प्रॉमिस किया है करके.
ये
चैप्टर के बाद नहीं है, पूरा क्वेश्चन खत्म होने के बाद
हम सब एक्स्ट्रा लेक्चर ले लेंगे आज.
नहीं मिल जाएगा हमारे क्लासेस तो काफी है. तो आप जब कहो तब पूरा सिलेबस खत्म होने के बाद हम एक डिबेट ऑर्गेनाइज कर सकते हैं. टॉपिक भी अलग अलग होंगे, ऐसा नहीं है एक टॉपिक पे होगा डिबेट. अलग अलग टॉपिक्स पे डिबेट करेंगे और कोई कंक्लूजन नहीं निकालेंगे. आएंगे सिर्फ लड़ाई करेंगे, अपने अपने पॉइंट्स बताएंगे, झगड़ेंगे एक दूसरे के साथ. फिर वो ऐसा कहता है, वो वैसा कहता है, ऐसा करके एक हफ्ते भर उसी पे डिस्कशन करेंगे और टाइम वेस्ट. क्लास, are we going to pay attention? Yes. So gradually the gender issue was raised in politics. Women in different parts of the world are organized and they are agitated for equal rights. Remember French Revolution, जो आपने पिछले साल पढ़ा है. कब का उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया था वो बैस्टाइल कोड का स्टॉर्मिंग एंड वगैरह 1789 में शुरू किया था. विमेन को वोटिंग राइट्स कब मिली बेटा? 1946 में. तो 1789 का साल कहाँ था? मतलब वहां के लोगों को ये पता था कि उन्हें डेमोक्रेसी चाहिए, उन्हें लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, फ्रैटर्निटी वो सब मालूम था, लेकिन विमेन के लिए इक्वल राइट्स नहीं मालूम था उन्हें। वो उन्हें मालूम कब पड़ा? 1946 में। उससे अच्छा तो फ्रांस से बेटर तो आई वुड से इंडिया इज द बेटर करती है। एटलीस्ट जिस साल हमें इंडिपेंडेंस मिला उसी साल मेन विमेन दोनों को क्या मिले? इक्वल वोटिंग राइट्स तो मिले। सो वी आर मच बेटर देन दैट, I feel, in my opinion. Now, so this issue about the gender was raised in the politics, and women in different parts of the world they fight for their equal rights, and there were educations also in the different countries. I hope last year आपने रशियन रेवोल्यूशन में भी पढ़ा था। वो एक थी औरत जो उसको ब्रेड नहीं, हाँ नहीं ओलंपियाड में गॉर्जस वो तो थी, लेकिन रशियन रेवोल्यूशन में भी कोई एक थी जिसने एक ऑर्गेनाइज्ड मूवमेंट लीड किया था। उसने सारे इंडस्ट्रीज में स्ट्राइक करा दिया था, कहा था कि हम स्ट्राइक करेंगे जब तक हमको खाना नहीं मिलेगा हम लोग काम नहीं करेंगे। हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस थिंग? एनीवे देयर वाज सच एन इंसिडेंट। लेट्स फिर उसी दिन से हम इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स डे भी मनाने लगते हैं, and all that is also given. Well, we will not get into that grade 9 का stuff. Let's come back. So participation women का public life में, यानी जो government के work है या politics में है वो आप कम ही देखते हो, और in spite of she being the 50% of the population, she is not getting that equal right there. Feminism and its impact. As I said, there are two terms. एक होता है misogynist और दूसरा होता है misandrist. Misogynist वो होते हैं they hate women, they feel all the rights should be with the man and women को तो rights होने ही नहीं चाहिए. And then there is another fellow, he is called as misandrist. ये ऐसे होते हैं इनको लगता है सारे rights तो women के ही पास होने चाहिए, men के पास कोई right होना ही नहीं चाहिए. Both these things are not going to work in a balanced society. You can't have these things. आप अपना ही चलाओगे हमेशा और मैन को कुछ कहने ही नहीं दोगे, दैट मीन्स मैन का सिचुएशन स्लेव का हो रहा है, एंड वुमेन का भी अगर स्लेव का जैसा सिचुएशन हो रहा है, अगर उसको कुछ कहने का राइट नहीं है तो उसको करने का कुछ राइट नहीं है तो. बट अ फेमिनिस्ट इज अ पर्सन हु बिलीव्स इन गिविंग equal rights and opportunities to men and women. It's not that he's fighting for one single person. It's just for the equality between the men and women. Political status equal होना चाहिए, legal status equal होना चाहिए, education and career opportunities में improvement होना चाहिए, यानी लोगों को. Again I tell you, in schools you have भर भर के female teachers. आप अपने स्कूल में भी देखे होंगे बहुत सारे female teachers होते हैं. But when you go for higher education, जब आप यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल की पढ़ाई करने जाते हो, बहुत हाई पोजीशन पे पढ़ने जाते हो, तो आपको सिर्फ मेल प्रोफेसर्स, you will hardly get any female teacher. एक कॉलेज में आपको बता रही हूँ, चर्च गेट में है ये कॉलेज में वुमेन्स कॉलेज है, सारे कैंडिडेट जो एडमिशन लेते हैं दे आर ऑल गर्ल्स, वुमेन्स कॉलेज है, पर यहाँ पे पढ़ाने के लिए टीचर 7 या 8 टीचर्स है, only one is a female. Rest all the teachers are male professors. All are male professors. When inquired किया जाती हूँ, then it is clear that भाई हमने इंटरव्यू लिया, हमने न्यूज़पेपर्स में एडवर्टाइजमेंट पब्लिश किया, औरतों का एप्लीकेशन ही नहीं आ रहा है. Women are not applying for the position, higher position jobs, and it's a government college. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई छोटा मोटा कॉलेज है, छोटा मोटा कोर्स है. The reason is women are not applying, women are not ready to come and work. And why women are not applying? Because women are not eligible. उन इतने high level तक पढ़ते ही नहीं है. That is also one of the reasons. So this is how we can see even in the women's college where women has to have a whisper hand.
इसमें बहुत अलग है ना, सारे टीचर्स की से हार्डली कोई
And होता है. Correct.
इंग्लिश के टीचर्स भी काफी है.
But in the most of the schools,
उनके बस 3 नहीं.
And there are certain jobs also which only females can do, especially the teacher for the younger children. छोटे जो बच्चे होते हैं, नर्सरी, प्री प्राइमरी, वो जो आता है केजी, इसमें एक आदमी को भेजो आप 2 मिनट में कंटाल के बाहर आ जाए, बोलेगा ये लोग तो लिख ही नहीं रहे, मैंने 10 बार इन लोगों से ए लिखवाया, वो लिखे ही नहीं. And then frustration हो जाता है. After a certain extent वो frustrated होंगे, फिर सीधा मार देंगे उन बच्चों को, फिर वो बच्चे भी रोएंगे और वो आदमी भी रोएगा, दोनों मिल के रोए. आदमी इसीलिए रोएगा कि उसने मारा, उसको की गलत है, उसका जॉब चला जाएगा, और बच्चे इसीलिए रो रहे कि सर ने मारा। सब मिलके एक साथ रोएंगे, और फिर प्रिंसिपल और मैनेजमेंट क्या करेंगे, उनका भी रोने का दिन है। So it's better that for such small children it is always better to have female teachers only. वरना ये कुटाई कितना कर देंगे फिर उसका उसका कुछ भरोसा नहीं है. But then yes, it's not that men can't work in the schools where younger children are also there, but they will need a lot of patience. They have to develop that level of patience to work in such kind of an atmosphere. So feminist movements, girls, please, first national group. Feminist movement, women's movements that are more radical, aimed at equality in personal and family rights as well. देखो कुछ ऐसे भी फेमिनिस्ट लोग होते हैं, मतलब वो अपने आप को फेमिनिस्ट कहते हैं बट वो फेमिनिस्ट होते नहीं है. ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं जो कहते हैं हम तो इतनी इक्वालिटी चाहिए ना भाई कि अगर मैन बच्चा पैदा नहीं करते तो वुमेन भी पैदा नहीं करेगी बच्चों को. रखो कहीं बाहर किसी टेस्ट ट्यूब में बड़ा उधर ही पला उसको और फिर हाथ में लेके घूमेंगे के दो. इज दैट गोइंग टू वर्क आउट? इतना एक्सट्रीम इक्वालिटी कभी हो सकता है? Because this kind of discrimination तो खुद nature ने किया है, and we can't always go against the nature. Right? So it's not possible. There are other foolish men also who keep saying कि हमें भी menstrual cramp का pain feel करना है. क्यों करना है? एक बार तो कर ही लो, उसी में मौका है, करके भी क्या उखाड़? करके भी क्या उखाड़ लोगे? It is done by the nature itself. But still there are these kind of extreme level का feminist. उन extreme level के लोगों को हम feminist कह ही नहीं सकते. In fact वो feminist के दायरे में ही नहीं आते हैं. वो उसके उस बॉक्स के अंदर ही फिट नहीं होते. वो कहीं और ही होते, कहीं और ही लेवल के हैं. तो वो नेचर ही बदल देना चाहते हैं, वो अपना खुद का रूल्स बनाना चाहते हैं. दैट इज प्रोबेबली नॉट पॉसिबल, एटलीस्ट नॉट इन द 21st century. आगे का फ्यूचर का आगे. सो पॉलिटिकल इट्स गिवन इन योर टेक्स्ट. check it out if it is then next is class. Pay attention. So gender division and political mobilization has helped to improve the women's role also in the public life. That is certainly when you talk about the politics or when you talk about the government jobs also, nowadays you can see a race. Women are also having equal participation, and since we are speaking about these things publicly, openly, we are talking about it, and these things are no longer a taboo now. So this has become a path or a founding stone where women have started increasing their participation in the public life as well. Now we find women working as scientists, we find them working as doctors, engineers, lawyer, manager, college and university teachers also. But they are, of course, the number is not equal. But initially these kind of professions were considered कि यार ये तो औरतों से होगा ही नहीं, वो काम भी अभी औरतें कर रही है. Now there are certain countries that I would like to cite here. These are Sweden, Norway, and Finland. These countries are called as Scandinavian countries. And these countries in these places, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, the women participation is much higher than the in the public life. So the private jobs हो, या फिर government jobs हो, या फिर politics हो, तो यहाँ पे औरतों का participation भी ज्यादा है. In fact, ज्यादा है. It is more than the men also. So you can say Scandinavian countries are having much more participation. In our country, women still lag much behind. अगर इंडिया की बात करें तो इसमें औरतों को इतना ज्यादा अपलिफ्टमेंट नहीं मिला है. हालांकि कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट तो है, लेकिन इस इम्प्रूवमेंट से सब कुछ बदला है क्या समाज में? नहीं बदला है. Still our society is quite a lot male dominated, and this male dominated society is also called as patriarchal society, where all the decisions, all the major decisions are taken by the men, and whatever the men say, if that is followed by everyone in the family, and he is considered as the head, and head member, main member is considered as the father, is considered as the head of the family. Now, types of oppression that a women face. First is education. डेटा कंपेयर किए बच्चों में 10th स्टैंडर्ड के बच्चों का रिजल्ट और 12th स्टैंडर्ड के बच्चों का रिजल्ट का किसका ज्यादा पास परसेंटेज होता है 10th का ज्यादा पास परसेंटेज होता है और 10th में लड़कियों का पास परसेंटेज ज्यादा होता है या लड़कों का
लड़कियों
का ज्यादा पास
पर स्कूल में 5 में से 4 बच्चे 4 लड़के टॉप
गुड बट हम स्कूल की बात नहीं कर रहे हम ओवरऑल एक स्टेट का डेटा बात कर रहे हैं सो see children I'm not here to debate about something क्या औरतें ज्यादा सुपर पावर है पावर ऑफ गर्ल्स हैं and men तो कुछ भी नहीं है I'm not here to say that a society has to work in a balanced condition you can't have the balance shifted only to one side. That is what we need to understand, and that is why this chapter is given in your book. Otherwise, ये chapter आपके NCERT वाले देते भी नहीं ना आपको. क्यों दिया है आपके बुक में आया क्यों है ताकि कुछ हद तक तो कुछ एक्सटेंड तक तो आपकी सोच को बदला जा सके. That's all. और बदलने की भी वो टास्क नहीं है उनका. They are just trying to put up their thoughts. They are just trying to put up their viewpoints in front of your. बदलना है नहीं बदलना है that is left to you. And I'm not saying that all men are bad or all men are having this kind of patriarchal thought. I'm not saying that as well. There are certain men who are really kind enough to think of equality and practice that equality in their personal life as well. So it's rare, but still there are people who do that. The literacy rate among the women, in my book it is written 65%, but please check in your civics textbook. It says if it is 54, make the changes. Again, every year the data changes. So please check into your NCERT textbook what the data, that data only you have to write what is given in your NCERT textbook. So if it is 54% amount for the literacy rate among the women is only 54%, and for the men it is how much 76%. This is the NCERT data. So औरतें ज़्यादा पढ़ी लिखी हैं क्या? नहीं. कौन ज़्यादा पढ़ा लिखा है? Men ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे. And only a small proportion of girl students they go for higher studies. तो higher positions पे higher studies की पढ़ाई करने के लिए लड़कियां बहुत कम जाती है. इसके पीछे रीजन ये नहीं है कि लड़कियों से होता नहीं है या लड़कियों के पास दिमाग नहीं है. सर्टेनली वो कर सकती है लेकिन घर पे पेरेंट्स क्या कहते हैं कि भाई नहीं तुम्हारी शादी कब होगी तुम कोई छोटा सा कोर्स कर लो थोड़ा सा पढ़ लो फिर शादी करके सेटल हो जाओ ऐसे ही पढ़ते बैठोगी तो फिर शादी कब होगी. शादी becomes a very big something that has to come and stick onto us which is not very important but still it keeps on revolving and I can probably relate much to that because I'm one of those women जिसने एजुकेशन को प्रायोरिटाइज किया शादी को अभी तक नहीं प्रायोरिटाइज किया तो अभी भी मेरे घर में वो सायरन बजता रहता है कब शादी करोगी कब शादी करोगी बट आई हैव नॉट बीन सो इम्यून फॉर दैट कि अभी आजकल मेरे कानों को वो सायरन सुनाई ही नहीं देता है बट दैट मेक्स माय लाइफ मच कंफर्टेबल. आई फाइंड
एक्चुअली
filter off हो जाता है करेक्ट. Now, so small proportion of girl students they go for higher studies. Even when you look at the school results, who are performing much better? The girls are performing much better than the boys. हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि मार्क्स कितना आ रहा है लड़की को देखो 98% आया लड़की को 89 आया ऐसा बातें हम नहीं कह रहे. We are just looking at the number of students who have passed the 10th standard exam, the number of students who have passed the 12th standard exam. Who passes more? The girls have a more pass percentage than the boys. This is what the NCERT data says, okay? So in spite of they are doing well, in spite of their performance is much better, who has a higher position in the education? It's the boys because लड़कों को वंश का क्या कहते हैं वंश का चिराग वंश का चिराग माना जाता है पता नहीं कहाँ जाके ये लगाने हैं but yes they are considered to be वंश का चिराग and they are also given better education. Now I'll tell you one more thing, one very weird thing, but that has come in the research. Since I belong to a field of education, I know the researches that are carried out in education field. There was a research that was taken that brother goes to the international school. Brother is going to international school. girl goes to municipal school, the sister, she goes to municipal school. Why like this? क्योंकि इंटरनेशनल स्कूल्स की फीस तो हाई है, साल में 2-2 लाख रुपए ले लेते हैं वो लोग, इतना पैसा लड़की पे खर्चा नहीं कर, लड़की को आफ्टर ऑल क्या करना है, शादी तो करनी है. So women are sent, the girl child is sent to municipal school, and you know what? वो municipal class, some girls are so hardworking that in spite of going to municipal school, वो ज्यादा percentage ला रही थी अपने भाई से, जो international school में पढ़ रहा
I
है.
think that the boy has more potential, so they try to invest on him. That is why you are
And you know, there is a school, at least when I was studying, I had come across this incident. In my school, we had two mediums. One was English medium and the other one was Marathi medium education. Although now we don't have Marathi medium, it's all converted into semi-English. But उस टाइम पे एग्जिस्ट करता था, मराठी मीडियम एजुकेशन होता था, इंग्लिश मीडियम एजुकेशन होता था. उसमें लड़कों को इंग्लिश मीडियम में डालते थे और लड़कियों को मराठी मीडियम में डालते, ताकि उसको इंग्लिश ना आए, उसको इंग्लिश सीखे क्या करिएगी. एंड यू नो व्हाट, आगे चल के जब वो साइंस जैसे या कॉमर्स जैसे सब्जेक्ट्स लेगी तो उसको पढ़ने में तो दिक्कत ही होगा, बिकॉज साइंस के हायर स्टडीज के बुक्स तो सारे किसमें लिखे होते हैं, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में लिखे रहते हैं. और वो लड़का साइंस लेता भी नहीं, वो कुछ और ही कर रहा होता था, पता नहीं क्या कर रहा होता, कुछ और कर रहा होता था. तो जिसको वो चीज पढ़नी है उसको वो पढ़ाया नहीं गया, और जिसको वो नहीं पढ़नी थी वो पढ़ के बैठा है. So this kind of discrimination is also happening in the society. So if not better, in when we look at the school results, girls perform as well as boys, if not better in some places. मतलब यहाँ पे ये कहने की कोशिश करें क्योंकि कोचिंग वगैरह या ट्यूशन का ज्यादा खर्चा लड़कों पे ज्यादा किया जाता है, लड़कियों पे नहीं किया जाता, तो कभी कभी गर्ल्स का रिजल्ट कम भी आता है, बट फिर भी वो बॉयज के बराबरी में होता है. इन स्पाइट ऑफ दैट गर्ल्स का ड्रॉप आउट ज्यादा होता है स्कूल से. लड़कों को तो पेरेंट्स फिर भी, जो अनपढ़ गरीब गांव में रहने वाले पेरेंट्स होते हैं, वो भी लड़कों को स्कूल तो भेज ही देते हैं, लेकिन लड़कियों को वो क्या करते हैं, घर पे बिठा देते हैं, चलो घर का काम सीख लो, खाना बनाना सीख लो. And that's the reason they end up dropping out from the school, and they don't feel that it is necessary for them to spend equally on their sons and daughters. Talking about the proportion of women in paid jobs, women proportion in the highly paid jobs and highly valued jobs is again comparatively very less. On an average, an Indian woman works 1 hour more than an average man, and than a man's average man every day. तो अगर ऑफिस का भी काम होगा ना, तो औरतें ऐसी होती है बेटा कि आज ये काम भी मैं निपटा लेती हूँ, ये भी कंप्लीट कर लेती हूँ और फिर घर जाती हूँ. Sanika, you don't have a book with you? Then why are you turning back? So if you talk about women, Indian women, she will spend on an average 1 hour more every day in her office. आप देखते होंगे अपने घर में, अगर आपके मम्मी पापा दोनों काम करते हैं, दोनों कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में है, तो ऐसा प्रोबेबली होता होगा आपके साथ. आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर ऑफ इट, बट आई एम सेइंग प्रोबेबली आपके साथ ऐसा होता होगा कि आपके पापा तो 8 घंटे की ड्यूटी खत्म करके घर आ जाते हैं, लेकिन आपकी मम्मी को यूजुअली लेट हो जाता है घर आते आते. It's because she has that, you know, कि ये भी खत्म करके जाती हूँ, वो भी खत्म करके जाती हूँ, क्योंकि कल आके उसको वापस करना ही होता है ना वो काम. उससे अच्छा कल पे डालने से अच्छा आज ही खत्म कर लेती हूँ. वो वाली जो थॉट होती है ना, औरतों की ज्यादा होती है. That's the reason. वो ज्यादा, she ends up doing more at that. Yet much of her work is not paid and therefore not valued. Since any job, if you do that job and you don't get a payment for that job, it's not valued. Will you keep doing such a certain job which has no payment? No. But our Indian housewives, they every day wake up and do such job which is not paid. That is being a housewife. That's the reality. Wage inequality, again, yes. So Equal Wages Act has been passed in the year 1976, which says that equal wages should be paid for equal work. However, in almost all the areas of work, from sports and cinema to factories and fields, women are paid less. I hope you all must have come across that movie Aadmi Purush करके जो आया था. But उसमें प्रभास ने तो बहुत पैसे कमा लिए. He earned then 100 crores for that movie. But on contrary, what Kriti Sanon got for being Sita there, she was hardly paid 3 crores. Only 3 crores for that movie. And Prabhas, since he's a popular actor, I agree, he has more screen time also. I agree with that. Screen time, it's ज़्यादा था, lead था, male lead भी था. But Sita भी तो male lead ही है रामायण का.
But
In spite of being the male lead, she got lesser salary.
Prabhas has acted in more.
More, I agree. The screen time was also more. Popularity is also taken into consideration. Fan following also taken into consideration. But 63 lakhs ka, 93 lakhs ka gap is this justifiable? 93 crores ka gap, yes, correct. Is this justifiable? I don't think so. One is paid 100 crores and the other is paid 3 crores. पर वो तो एक्टिंग का जमाना है, एक्टिंग की बातें हैं, वहां पे सितारे तो 3 करोड़ भी ज्यादा ही है तो उसको मिला है, it's not less, but again when we compare it, certainly there are disparities. Even Saif Ali Khan, it is said he earned 12 crore. 12 crore. So now it is 12 crore. Okay, we are not here to comment about who earned more, who earned less. Of course, there are certain criteria they are taken into consideration before deciding their payment. But here I am, since I am talking with the perspective of gender, this kind of situation is not just present in Bollywood, this kind of discrimination is also present in Hollywood. So Bollywood movies में भी इस तरह का gender discrimination होता है when it comes to paying the paycheck. So even if the women are doing more work or equal work, they are not given the due recognition and payment for that. आप जानते हो ये जो वर्कर्स लोग होते हैं जो ठेकेदार के पास काम करते रहते हैं, इनमें जो विमेन होती है इनको सैलरी कम दिया जाता है, जानबूझ के कम दिया जाता है, एंड देयर वर्क इज लेस वैल्यूड बिकॉज इट इज कंसिडर्ड कि जितना काम एक मैन कर सकता है फिजिकल वर्क उतना औरत तो करेगी नहीं, तो उसको सैलरी क्या कर देते हैं, कम दे देते हैं. But even she is working for 8 hours, even the man is working for 8 hours, still this kind of disparities they do have. Now, one of the first thing that we are going to discuss is the female fertilized preference for the male child. Actually, that's on a, that's, I won't say it's completely the fault of the parents. I feel somewhere the bigger fault lies in the society's mindset. That is actually more bad. पेरेंट्स तो ठीक है जो इस तरह की हरकत करे उन्हें अप्रिशिएट तो बिल्कुल नहीं किया जा सकता, उन्हें एनकरेज मोटिवेट को बिल्कुल ही नहीं करना है. बट द वन हु इज मोर एट फॉल्ट इज नॉट देम, दैट इज द सोसाइटी. आई होप यू आर अवेयर ऑफ दिस वर्ड फीमेल फर्टिसाइड. What do you understand by ferticide? It is killing of the unborn child. Correct. Killing a child, if it is a girl, then it is called as female ferticide, and the mother's womb it is killed. What do you understand by the word infanticide?
Killing of the child
Before 1 year. Yes, before it turns 1 year. Yes, before it turns 1 year of age, if the child is killed, then it is called as infanticide. So in many parts of India, parents prefer to have a male child, beta child. And you know what? There are certain class. If you don't want an extended discussion, please let me know. I will just stick to the content that is given and I pop up. Tell me which kind of discussion you all want, an extended discussion or a very limited discussion. I could hear the word extended only from the girls. Extended. Yes, pay attention. No, since we have time, that's why I'm taking this. Otherwise, if we were falling short of time, if our portion was incomplete, if this chapter was coming in your exams and your exams are due next week, then certainly we wouldn't have a session like this. You know how I hurried with the age of university. Yeah, you know that. I can teach in that way also, I can teach in this way also. I can teach in a super horrible way also. 5 minutes में chapter इतना important है कि डरा दूंगी कि खुद ही पढ़ लोगे तुम्हें. वो भी कर सकती हूँ मैं. 5 मिनट में भी चैप्टर हो सकता है. Because trained teachers, they know how to deal with every chapters in every kind of way. But yes, since I want the class to be interesting, so I'm taking an extended session. And if I don't do that, I'm certainly going to fall asleep because I've hardly slept for 4 hours in past 36 hours. So I know I'm going to take a deep sleep if I don't have an extended session today.
What of lawyer? Women get difference.
I'm just a lawyer. There is no bifurcations for being a lawyer, whether it's a criminal or a defense lawyer. But yes, when you become an advocate, then you get the bifurcations as a defense lawyer or a public prosecutor. If the advocate works for the government, then he's called as a public prosecutor. If it's a private lawyer, then you call him as a defense.
हाँ because court में बात
इतनी पंचायत में क्यों चलती है? ध्यान को But more than a lawyer, I'm a teacher. Okay, I'm a teacher more and very less of it.
Do you still
Cases
classes?
related.
I teach law students also.
First like legal advices.
Yeah, I give
हाँ
legal
पता
advice.
बात करने में टाइम से लगता है क्या
हाँ.
अच्छे से
Thank you.
Thank you. चने के केस पे मत चढ़ाओ.
चने की झाड़ी.
Now let's get back. Yes, I do teach law children also. Our UP has the preparation scheme for CLAT exams. So I am teaching their legal aptitude as well as GK subjects on CLAT. CLAT, CLAT, CLAT. Now, CLAT is for the this thing, management courses. There are certain places where औरतें ही औरतों की दुश्मन होता है. Women are women's enemy. You might have come across that also. मुझे तो पोता ही चाहिए. ऐसी कुछ सांस होती है जो कहती है मुझे तो पोता ही चाहिए, मुझे तो पोता ही चाहिए. And there is a law which prohibits the gender revealing in India. You can't get the child who is not yet born, you can't get the gender revealed of that. तो ये लोग अलग-अलग तरीके भी आजमाते हैं. When the doctor comes out after taking an ultrasound, सोनोग्राफी करा के बाहर आती है डॉक्टर तो उसको पता चल जाता है कि बच्चा गर्ल चाइल्ड है या बॉय चाइल्ड है. So she comes out and she gives hints, she gives cues. आप पेड़ा लेके आओ, आपके घर तो खुशियां ही खुशियां आ रही है. Just the word पेड़ा, then it means she is referring to the boy child. And if she uses the word barfi, then it is referred to a girl child.
मुझे बर्फी पसंद है. सियाने की तो मैंने दिखा है जेनुइनली.
This is wrong. This is illegal. She does that.
इसलिए भी जेंडर नहीं बोलते.
Yes.
यूएस
प्रॉब्लम तो इस वजह से क्या हो गया है, सारी लड़कियों को पकड़ पकड़ के पेट में ही खत्म कर दिया। फिर पैदा लड़की होगी नहीं, फिर शादी करने के लिए लड़कियां कहाँ से मिलेंगी, लड़कों को शादी करने के लिए लड़कियां मिलती ही नहीं है। देन दे आर ट्राइंग टू किडनैप girls are so less that boys they end up kidnapping girls from other states. This has also happened. When you talk about Haryana, there the sex ratio is very less. I hope you understand what the sex ratio is. For every 1,000 boys in a society, how many girls are present? That is known as the sex ratio. So when you talk about Haryana, the sex ratio is very poor. It is only 850. So for every 1,000 boys that are present in the society, it's only 850 girls that are present, so which is very less. And there are some other also they are given. Let's see. Overall, अगर India का देखा जाए, country का overall देखा जाए, so it is 940, and this is even going as low as 800 in some places, which is certainly not very favorable. If this continues, if this kind of sex ratio is unequal, then certainly the society will end up having more number of male citizens and lesser number of female citizens. लड़कियां नहीं मिलेंगी शादी करने के लिए, कुंवारे बैठे रहो. What else? And then what happens? You know, when women are girls are ended up being kidnapped. In Haryana, there was an incident. लड़कियों को उठा लिया गया. हरियाणा के लड़कों को लड़कियां मिली नहीं रही शादी करने. Crime against women. Ultimately, all this. Besides all this, there are further problems also that's happening. Harassment, exploitation, violence against women. All these things are also there. Urban areas also have become unsafe for women. It's not that these things happen only in rural areas or amongst the poor people. These things are present even in the rich people also. I don't know whether you have seen that movie Highway करके movie आई थी आलिया भट्ट की. उसमें परिवार तो अच्छा खासा पढ़ा लिखा था, अमीर परिवार था. But in spite of that, they were like, be silent, don't speak about the sexual assault, because the person who was doing that bad thing to her was someone amongst the family members, so belonging to the family business. Yeah, and because of him, the business would have otherwise got affected. So they were asking the girl to remain quiet about that. उसको सच में दूसरे आदमी ने किडनैप कर दिया, and she was happy with that kidnapper because he was much better than her own family members. This is what she felt. This is the kind of scene these days. So they are not safe in their own homes also, ending up being getting beaten, harassed, and also domestic violence. So this is the trauma that women are facing. But women करते आजकल समाज इतना ज्यादा women के लिए liberal होते गया है कि आजकल men का ही जिंदगी जीना बहुत कठिन हो गया है.
Best example. Best example.
Women को सारे rights दे दिए जाते हैं. Men के पक्ष में the court cases also the judgment is more favorably and sometimes even biasly given towards the women. औरत तो सही sympathize कर दिया जाता है, but that's not always true. In the society, there are some women also who take complete advantage of this situation and unnecessarily end up with men harassing also someone. Recently, it was killed. Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. And these things are happening because too much liberal views are set. औरत ही सही होती है. But anything extreme, anything too much will not help you get back anything in return. So let's get back to the topic, women's political representation. The women especially, despite they are facing too much of discrimination. Even at the workplace, this kind of discrimination exists. Even at the workplace, some important assignment, some important project, the CEO ends up giving it on the hands of some senior male member and not to the senior female employee. This kind of discriminations, they do exist. their discrimination is not even given attention, adequate attention भी नहीं दिया जाता है कि भाई ऐसा क्यों किया गया, ऐसा क्यों हुआ. And if a woman ends up voicing her opinion on that, कह देते कि जो हुआ मेरे साथ सही नहीं हुआ, तो सब उसको ही देखते कि हाँ ये ना ऐसा चिढ़ती है बाबा, ये ऐसा बोलती है बाबा. And then the whole society will, the whole office especially will act as though she is someone trouble creator there. So this kind of biased opinion also some people they end up having. So that's actually not very good. This has led many feminist and women movements also have been organized to conclude that unless women control power, their problems will not get adequate attention. See why women are not given position or authority or power in politics. Because if she gets to come up more higher in the politics, if she starts ruling or making the laws herself, then certainly she will be the first person to improve her own condition and situation, right? She will make such laws that will end up improving the women's condition. And are all the men in the society ready for this change? No. In fact, there are many men in the society who aren't ready for any kind of change. They want the society to be traditional. They want the society. Yes, they want it to be orthodox with the old, bad thinking and feeling about women that she is not adequately qualified, she can't do this, she is not eligible. Those things they keep repeating. And this has, one way you can get women their rights is by giving them equal representation. So that for that reason, even in your Lok Sabha, recently the women's bill has been passed, women's something, I can't remember the name from this one. But that bill has been passed and that gives women 33% seats reservation in Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Girls, please stop talking. Otherwise, instead of talking of your rights, I will have to talk about how bad you people are in the class. So, please. And one more question that comes up here, in spite of women having 50% of the share in the population, why the number of seats given to her are 33%? That is also a questionable thing. When women constitute 50% of the population, the reservation of seats should have also been 50% when it comes to higher authority positions like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, at least there. But it's not there. Anyways, at least 33. At least things have started, the change has started. That start is also a very big deal. Need for political representation of women in India, we certainly need that. The world average is 24%. So on an average, in whole of the world, if you sit and calculate, among the 100 men, how many women you will get? Only 24. So that percentage is also very less. If you take the fair share of the political representation of women in India, again the share is not at all fair. The women's position, the women's number in legislature is very low. It is only 12.5%. Till 2014, this is maximum forever. So in 2014 was the last time we had got the women's share in the parliament as 12.5%. इससे ज़्यादा तो women का share था ही नहीं लोकसभा के सीटों पर. Then, if you talk about the state assemblies, I hope you all understand. At the state level, the law making authority is the Vidhan Mandal. Vidhan Mandal is further divided into state legislative assembly, that is Vidhan Sabha, and state legislative council, that is Vidhan Parishad. If you look at these both together also for every state, if you consider and calculate the overall percentage for whole of India, it accounts to only 5% of women participation. Children there, stop getting disturbed and stop disturbing others. In this respect, India is amongst the bottom group of nations in the world. So when we talk of women representation in politics, where does India stand? It is not at the top. Women are not participating much in the politics. Their share is at the bottom line. So we are behind, we are much behind. India is behind the average also. So world average भी अगर आप देखें, उससे भी India क्या है? पीछे है. What is the world average for women's participation in politics? 24% somewhat. And उसके comparison में women का India में participation कितना है? Only 12.5%. So we are even behind the world average. So India is even behind the average that is set up by Africa and Latin America. जिस अफ्रीका को देखकर हम अक्सर हंसते हैं, उन्हें काले काले कैसे चिढ़ाते हैं, रेशियल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन भी कुछ लोग इंडिया में उनके बारे में कर लेते हैं, वो लोग भी वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन में पॉलिटिक्स में इंडिया से आगे. So it's not something that has to laugh on them. They have a right to laugh on us if this continues.
Latin America is south.
Latin America is a group of countries. Now I can't collect that. Just search no on the internet Latin America क्या है. कुछ countries हैं जिनको मिला के हम Latin America कहते हैं. Check it. So Latin America, natural region of. Which countries they have given their Caribbean national?
Caribbean, Central America and
Caribbean.
Caribbean. Like 19 sovereign nations and one non-independent territory pure to the states.
So the Latin America includes the Caribbean Islands and the Central America. Yes, pay attention class. So even Latin America and Africa is having better assets than us. The government, the cabinets are majorly male dominated. Even when a woman can become a chief minister, prime minister, she is not. I think this was the second woman president we have now, that is Draupadi Murmu. Before her, the first woman president of India was Pratibha Patil. And now it is Draupadi Murmu. Prime minister we ever had only one woman, that is Indira Gandhi. None other than her. The following are some suggestions now how we can improve the political representation of women in the Indian politics. First is fair proportion to it. So make it legally binding. Something which is legally binding is always enforceable. If you don't do that, you'll be getting punished, you will be given a penalty. When you say this, then people usually end up doing that, right? So making a legally binding that women should have a share proportion when it comes to elected bodies and all this. This is one of the solutions that they have suggested. Second solution that they have suggested is reservation. Women's organization and activists have been demanding for a reservation of at least 1/3 seats in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies for women. As I said before, also by 1/3 we should be half. But at least चलो शुरू तो हो रहा है, कुछ तो मिल रहा है, उसी से start कर लेते हैं. So it is being demanded that 1/3 seats should be given, should be kept reserved, not given. It should be kept reserved for the women in the Lok Sabha as well as in the state assemblies, that is in the Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. This bill is pending before the parliament for more than a decade. Which like 10 सालों से, girls, what's wrong with you? Thank you. What are you both talking? People are talking from a very long time. Either discuss it with me, let the whole class know what you are discussing, or you don't know. You have two options. Select. Right. So women's organization and activists have been behind passing this bill. Yeah, I was talking about the women's reservation bill, and this bill has been pending. आपके बुक के हिसाब से ये बिल पेंडिंग है ना? आपके बुक में अभी भी बिल पेंडिंग ही बताया गया है.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is as per the old syllabus, and I think even in the new textbook also they have written that this bill is still pending. But actually, in reality, this bill is no more pending. It has been passed, and women are given 1/3 seat reservation.
Last year.
राष्ट्र ही दे दिया गया था, करेक्ट. बट आप अभी भी आंसर में क्या लिखोगे कि ये बिल अभी भी पेंडिंग है, क्योंकि आपका एनसीईआरटी टेक्स्ट बुक इसके ऊपर अपडेट नहीं हुआ है. तो यू विल आल्सो नॉट गिव एन अपडेटेड आंसर इन योर बोर्ड एग्जाम्स, राइट? व्हाट इज गिवन इन योर टेक्स्ट. ओके, सो फॉर एनसीईआरटी एग्जाम्स you have to write what is given there. No current affairs written out there. So it's more than a decade, that is just more than 10 years that this bill has been pending, and no proper consensus has been come. Why this bill is pending? Because we need at least 50% plus one vote to get this bill passed in the Lok Sabha. Are we getting this much votes? Are we getting 51% votes to pass this bill in the Lok Sabha? Yeah, there is no consensus. Consensus means सभी लोगों की सहमति नहीं है. Absolute majority vote तो है ही नहीं, consensus भी नहीं है, maximum लोगों की सहमति भी नहीं है, तो क्या हम इस बिल को पास कर सकते हैं बच्चा? नहीं कर सकते. That is why it has been kept pending. That is why you people are talking. Either you people talk or I do. Decide who wants to talk. Because then you guys are talking amongst your own self. I can't pressure on my throat and I can't do that. I can't do that. And stop turning the pages. Who's doing that noise? Come on to the page that you want and then don't turn it again and again. Multiple times, if you keep turning the pages, the chapter is not going to shrink and become small there. वो जितना है उतना ही है, आपको पढ़ना ही है. हाँ, ऐसे शांति से निभाना. I get really very irritated with that noise when you turn those pages. Because I know with which intention you are turning those pages. To check के chapter कितना बड़ा है. Turn करने से अगर वो छोटा हो जाता तो मैं आपको रोज turn करने के लिए बोलती. इतना turn करवाती कि वो textbook ही एक दिन invisible हो जाता. But that's not going to happen, right? Then why farm upon those things that are not going to change? So when you talk about the local self-government bodies like the panchayats and the municipalities, there is something that is positive that I have to share. Here the one-third seats have been given for reserved for the women, and women are participating in panchayats and the municipality. But as I said, this participation is also not a very true participation. As I said, the women's name will be just put on the record, and then her decisions will be taken by her husband. She will just end up putting the thumbprint. This happens in some places. So this is not a very correct thing that has to happen, right? So let's talk about the consumption part. What are we going to talk in conclusion with this? So gender division is an example that some form of social division needs to be expressed in politics. This also shows that disadvantaged groups do benefit when social divisions become a political issue. So yes, giving reservation to women is a benefit that is given to women. It's up to the women now how she is going to make use of this benefit. रिजर्वेशन दे दिया, सब कुछ दे दिया, लेकिन हमें चुनाव में खड़े ही नहीं होना है. अगर यही औरतें सोच रही हैं, तो क्या इस रिजर्वेशन देने का भी कुछ फायदा होता है क्या? फिर नहीं. तो कोई चीज अगर आपको मिलती भी है, तो वो आप पे डिपेंड करता है कि उस मिली हुई चीज का फायदा आप किस तरह से उठाओगे. So being a disadvantaged group is also sometimes what? Beneficial. Since women belong to a kind of a disadvantaged group where they have to face a lot of inequality, they are being given this kind of reservation. So a social division is in turn getting a boon for her. Now it is up to the women how they are going to convert this boon really a boon for themselves. Am I clear? Is there any doubt in this part now? Shall we proceed on to the communalism and secularism? I can see there is one. Okay, there was a question. In some books, I can see there is a question given there. What has been done for women's representation in the political sphere in India? If you don't have that question, then also I suggest go to the last page of your UP volume and write this question and make a note of the answer. I'm repeating the answer for you people. Right there. In short, you just write the keywords of that answer. Class, if you people keep your mouth shut, you will understand what instructions I'm giving. In some of the UP volumes, there is a question. What has been done for women's representation in the political sphere in India? Is it there in every volume? Please check. Every UP volume published, is it having that question there? Something different. Okay, write it. What has been done? What has been done? Be very fast in writing.
Which page number are you on?
I am on page number 50. Are you getting this question on your in your UP volume? Page number 52. What has been done for women's representation in the political sphere in India? I repeat the question once again. What has been done for women's representation in the political sphere in India? Start writing the answer. First point is rising literacy rate. Rising literacy rate. So more and more women are getting educated, they are becoming literate. That's a positive part.
What has been done for women's representation?
Rising literacy rate. This is your first point. What has been done for that? That's not a part of your question. Second part is point is reserved seat in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, or you can write combined as parliament. Reserved seats in parliament and state assemblies. Reserved seats in parliament and state assemblies. Third point is legally binding fair proportion. Legally binding, BINDING. Legally binding fair, FAIR, fair proportions. Fourth point, political parties should also give representation to women. Political parties should also give representation to women. And fifth point, which is the last point, local self-government already gives 33% reserved seats for women. Local self-government. The municipality and the panchayat, where the people themselves are the part of the government. That is why it is called that is why it is called as self-government. When you have yourself as a part of the panchayat, then you will be called as local self-government. Your self-participation. Local self-government already gives 33% reservation, which should increase to 50%.
Here the question is what has been done.
Yeah, it can be increased to 50%.
What has been done? Which should increase.
Should increase to 50%. If you want to write the fifth point, take the questions of 4 marks and in the fourth point itself. In some places, they have increased it up to 50% also.
Which countries?
No idea about that. But there are some places, some villages, they are giving more importance to women, especially in Rajasthan. If their participation is less, they have made this kind of resolution that the panchayat to the panchayat samiti is going to have more than at least 50% of women participation. Are we done with the answer? Yes.
What has been done for women's representation?
Shall we go on to the next topic now? Communalism and secularism. Class, silence. Yes, so talking about communalism, any word that ends with ISM, you know this ISM communalism. It gives you information about ideology. Now, what the problem?
Democratism.
Democratism. No, it's science like federalism.
Democratism.
The kind of, but we can't forcefully add ism there because the word doesn't sound good. But you can certainly check on Google if the word exists. Liberalism, yes, we do have. Gandhism also we do have. The people who
Kuch bhi.
Ayush, better be Ayush. So when we talk about this overall class, I hope you all are aware that I started with communism. I hope you are aware that I started with communism, and I hope you all are with me on the same page. Communism, communalism, sorry, communism. Communism is a different thing, and communalism is a different thing. And don't get confused with that. Just as I spelled it wrong, you do not end up writing it wrong in the exam. Communism is a different concept that is given by Karl Marx. That is a different thing. It's a philosophy where we say that the rich people should the bourgeoisie, they shouldn't dominate the society, and the wealth has to be distributed with the people. And this equal distribution can be done with the help of a supervision, that is of the government. That is communism. That's a completely different concept.
It is in China.
Yeah, it's in China. Russia also partially you can say. You buy this one. When we talk about communalism, it is about the religion. A person thinks that my religion is the best, and rest all the religions are based. And this particular person is also ready to fight for his religion, to make it the best. So those kind of riots, those kind of fights can be termed under the communalism. Communalism is where religious fights, religious debates are becoming too highlighted. Now, gender was something that was universal. Gender discrimination you can find everywhere in the world. But religion and communalism and secularism, these concepts, they are not universal. There are many countries in the world where they are following, the majority of people are following only one single religion, and they don't have many categories of religion where the people shall end up fighting among themselves for the religious basis. But in India, as you know, India is a very secular country. And in India, we have Hindus, we have Muslims, we have Sikh, we have Parsi, Buddhist, Jains. Did I miss out on anyone? Then those people also whom I have missed out, everyone. All these together, they live in India, and that's why we consider India as a secular nation. But moving on to secularism, before that, we just understand what communalism is and what does it mean. Communalism, the basic meaning about communalism is promoting the ideas of one religion within a particular group and undermining the ideas of other religions. I can cite an example here. One of the shows or somewhere, I don't know where it, some advertisement or somewhere it was being shown. अरे बेटा तुम उनके घर पे जा रहे हो खाना खाने? नहीं, तुम उनके घर में जाओ, उनके घर में खेलो, पड़ोसी है कोई, उनके घर में जाओ, उनके घर में खेलो, खाना मत खाना, क्योंकि उनका रिलीजन अलग है, उनका रिलीजन हमसे अलग है, तो उनके घर में खाना मत खाना. This was, I think, shown in some advertising or something. I don't remember where it was shown. But why this kind of belief, thinking that one's own religion is much better, much good than any other religion? Be it any religion, but I feel all religions, they give the message of humanity, they give the message of peace and kindness. It's the people who give different interpreted messages for different religions and making the people and the groups of this religion fight amongst themselves. What happened last bench, boys? Is there something that's bothering you, others? What are you talking as well? You and you both with him. Anything that's troubling you? Shall I wait? Have you completed your discussion? So when we are talking about communalism, it is where the one particular religion promotes its ideas, promotes its own religious ideas and says that these are only the best, these are only the one that we should follow. Rest all the religions are bakwas, unme kuch bhi nahi hai, wo अच्छे नहीं है. This kind of ideology is actually not right. It becomes a problem when religion is used to divide the society, and there are many kind of people in our society who use a religion as a tool to divide And this was done not just by the current politicians. In fact, ये तो हमको ब्रिटिशर्स ही सिखा के गए हैं कि कैसे रिलीजन को तोड़कर लोगों को रिलीजियस बेसिस पे तोड़कर इनको डिवाइड करके इन्हें करना है. Remember the partition of Bengal? I hope you must have studied 1905 partition of Bengal by Lord Curzon, the then Viceroy of India. He divided the province of Bengal because and only because he wanted to separate the Hindu and the Muslims that were staying in the Bengal province. The western part of the Bengal province constituted more of Hindus. I'm not saying Bengali Hindus, I'm just saying Hindus. And the one which was the eastern part, which is currently the Bangladesh part region, that had majority of Muslims.
West part. West part.
West part is not Bangladesh. India का state क्या है? West Bengal है ना? बांग्लादेश में है West Bengal. इधर है इंडिया में है ना? East part of Bengal became later on it became Bangladesh. Okay? So western part of Bengal province is added to India. It is a part of India, well standing proudly in the eastern part of India. It is present in the eastern part, but it is called as West Bengal because when Bengal province was divided, that was the western part of the country. So when we talk about this example, why I was giving about the Bengal partition, because that was also done in order to create communal disharmony. The Hindus and the Muslims, they should keep fighting amongst themselves. If they fight, if there is no unity between them, then only who will be in a profitable position? The Britishers. Since the Britishers wanted to have a good state of themselves in India, they wanted to have a continuous rule in India. That's the reason that they wanted to make the Hindus and the Muslims fight amongst them. The follower, no, I should miss out one point. It becomes a problem when the religion is used to divide the society. It believes that people belonging to different religion from different communities cannot live together as a nation. There are certain ideologies and certain people who think that if there are different kind of religious people staying in one particular nation, then that nation cannot function properly. You have already studied about this, a bit of this, not exactly like this in the power sharing chapter as well, when you must have studied about the Belgium. Have you studied about this?
Yes.
In Belgium, what was the situation? Why they were fighting?
Because they
French were that majority users, but they were minority in the state. So they accommodated.
and all the Dutch people had been given less
People
education
represented in
and
the government.
the economic condition was worse than the French. That is why during the 1950s and 60s, there was tussle between the two.
So in spite of having greater population in the country, they were economically, socially, educationally backward. And in the city area, who was having a higher population in research? French. And they were much more educated also. They were getting all the benefits also. So who were getting frustrated with this? The Dutch people. Naturally, because their population is fighting girls. Why don't you girls go home? You have so much of things to talk to. You are talking, that means you are not listening. And if you didn't have to listen to me, why did you even pay the fees at 18 fees? You have shedded out your mother's or father's money here and you have come here just to talk amongst yourself. Not interested in listening to what the teacher is teaching. Become back home. Who is forcing you to come here and sit? Just tell me that person's name. I will talk to that person myself. I'll tell them. Don't force. आपका बच्चा वैसे भी यहाँ पे पता नहीं दुनिया भर की पंचायत भी करता है. उससे अच्छा उसको घर पे ही आपके सामने कम से कम पढ़ तो नहीं है. Now if again I catch hold of you both now, then don't give me any excuses. Give excuses to your parents. What's your name? Malishka. What's your name? Ayushi. So features of communalism. There are certain people who believe that no, we can't stay together. We are of different religion, different community. They cannot live together as a nation. There will be always one who is dominant. There will always be one who is submissive. This kind of feeling itself is called as communalism, and this feeling is not at all correct. Now talking about the features, the first feature is a particular religion is expressed in politics in exclusive and partisan terms. What do you mean by partisan terms? Any idea, anyone?
Discrimination in all levels of really.
Okay,
We are just
page number 172.
not giving any rights to speak in parliament to people who are invited.
Okay. I won't say your answer is wrong. But it's not completely correct. I want some other answer for partisan.
It is favored more.
Favored more. Okay. Something more.
One is glorified and there is one is promoted.
Okay. You all are partially correct because you are talking something about where is when one is given more authority, more right. So what is partisan term? Partisan term exactly it means where a person is favoring or is committed to his or her political party just because of the religion. Just because of the religion. Now, although I should not say this thing openly, but we all know there are girls. Go out of the class. What makes you people talk when the teacher is teaching? ना स्कूल में सुनते हो ना यहाँ सुनते हो. And Prachiti, your talks are increasing day by day in my class. Tell your mom and dad as well. I have told you a very correct question. मिर्च मसाला डाल के मस्त बता. मेरी तरफ से पूरी इजाजत. बोलना कि टीचर कह रही थी कि प्रचिति का ध्यान ही नहीं लगता है पढ़ाई में. वो सिर्फ बातें करती रहती है. ये भी कहना. और भी कुछ एक्स्ट्रा एक दो सेंटेंस तो अपनी तरफ से डालना चाहते हैं. अब तो बेटा मेरे कंप्लेंट करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. मैंने बहुत अच्छा आदमी के हाथ में रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सॉल्व की. नाउ वी विल डू द रेस्ट. So I was discussing about the partisan system. So a person who is committed to the political party simply because of the religious grounds. Now we all know the BJP party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, although it says that it's a secular party, it believes in secularism, but it is not always seen to be. I will not take the name of which kind of religion they are promoting. You all are very much aware about it. But yes, there are certain biasness that people, they come up. Not every time, but at least sometimes. So the people who say that I'm going to support, there are some people in our country, they say that they are supporting BJP. It's not because of the work that the BJP political party does. It's just because of the religious support that they are giving or they are promoting to a particular religion. Actually, promoting a religion is not bad, but at the cost of other religions, it should not happen. And I think they have maintained that balance well, not at the cost of some other religion. They are promoting one religion, other they are giving push to all of them. But yes, little bit the balance is bent towards Hindu religion. We all know about it. क्या हुआ नहीं है?
वो आपने पहले बोला नाम नहीं बताया.
हाँ, but मैंने ले लिया because it's how considered. Everyone knows. It's not just me who has commented on that. There are so many writers, so many books have been written on that. मेरे अकेले को पकड़ के बीजेपी वाले क्या ही पाल जाएंगे. I will have a list to show them that. See, these many people have spoken about the religious biasness and in a very worst manner. I am to being very polite while speaking about it. What about those who have been very worst about it? What actions you have taken about them? First, go and hire them and come. So, yeah. So we know that this kind of religious biasness is there. And partisan terms is where a particular person feels that this particular political party is good, it is correct because they are favoring this kind of a religion. So are we going to have a religious government in our country? Certainly not. We want a government which is unbiased, a democratic form of government in our country. Then why are we supporting so badly in a so desperate manner to a particular political party, whether it does good or whether it does bad, whether it does anything changes, positive, negative changes. We are not even analyzing things, but we are just committed to that particular party. It's a kind of fan following, you know. हम इस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के बस फैन है फैन और ये जो भी करेंगे हमें वो एक्सेप्टेड होगा क्योंकि हम उनके फैन हैं तो हम एनालाइज भी नहीं करेंगे हम सोचेंगे भी नहीं कि उन्होंने क्या किया वो सही था या गलत था दैट इज अ काइंड ऑफ पार्टिसन सिस्टम द फॉलोअर्स ऑफ वन रिलीजन आर पिटेड अगेंस्ट द अनदर ये जो इतने सारे दंगे फसाद हम देखते हैं ना जहाँ पे एक रिलीजन दूसरे रिलीजन के साथ लड़ाई झगड़ा कर रहा है इतने सारे झगड़े के पीछे कहीं ना कहीं ये अलग अलग जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज होती है हमारे कंट्री में वो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से इन्वॉल्व वही एक रिलीजन को दूसरे रिलीजन के अगेंस्ट क्या करती है भड़काती है और फिर कहते हैं देखो ये रिलीजन के लोग तुम्हारे साथ ऐसे करते हैं ना तभी तो हम इनके अगेंस्ट में काम करते हैं इसीलिए आप हमको वोट दो घूम फिर के इनका सारा काटा के किधर अटकता है यस मैनिपुलेशन सो the system of beliefs of one religion is presented as a superior to those of other religion. See, no religion is superior, no religion is inferior. Everyone has their own ideas and concepts. It's always better and best to stay in harmony with everyone rather than debating कि तुम्हारा अच्छा है, मेरा अच्छा है, तुम्हारा खराब है, मेरा खराब है. Because we are not going to arrive at any solution for those debates. There is no solution for those debates. Unnecessary. Simply energy is wasted, simply thought process is getting biased, so it's not favorable to do that. These are the features of communalism. So believing that my religion is superior, others' religion are not that superior. So this kind of thought process leads to communalism. Talking about the communal thinking, what do you understand by communal thinking? The followers of a particular religion must belong to one community. So that's a main eligibility criteria. So if a person is having a communal kind of attitude mindset, then he will not try to have those people from other religion in their group, in their team. And certainly it's not true for BJP party. If you look at BJP political party, they do have members belonging to Muslim religion as well. So हम ये पूरी तरह से टैग करके नहीं कह सकते कि ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ हिंदू रिलीजन के लिए काम करते हैं. It's not true. अगर ऐसा होता तो क्या मुस्लिम मेंबर्स बीजेपी पार्टी के मेंबर बनते नहीं बनते है ना है मेंबर तो है is this completely true that they are kind of biased with a particular religion? Not necessarily. The followers of a particular religion must belong to one community. Their fundamental interests are the same. Any difference that they may have is irrelevant or trivial for the community life. Okay, now you want to tell me one thing. आप सुबह सुबह उठकर स्कूल जाते हो आप लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल हिंदू हो आपका पड़ोसी मुस्लिम है वो भी सुबह सुबह उठकर स्कूल जा रहा है आप दोनों का स्कूल एक ही है और जाने का रास्ता भी एक ही है और जिस सड़क से आप जाते हो वो भी एक ही है उस सड़क पे पॉटहोल्स भरे पड़े और जब आपका स्कूल का वैन या स्कूल का बस आता है आपको लेने के लिए तो आपको ऐसा लगता है कि आप वो रोलर कोस्टर पे बैठे हो उड़ते 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 फाइनली पहुंच गए स्कूल तक इसमें कुछ रिलीजन का लेना देना है now here you want the road to be better so that your trip towards the school that 5-minute distance doesn't break up your backbone that's what you expect right but what's happening is you are if a person suppose let's say in your place if a person is having communal ideology तो नहीं मैं उससे बात नहीं करूंगा मैं भी इससे बात नहीं करूंगा इनका रिलीजन अलग अलग है मैं नहीं बात करूंगा अरे बात नहीं करोगे तो कैसे फाइंड आउट करोगे कि उसको भी तुम्हारे जैसा ही ट्रबल होता है या नहीं हाउ यू पीपल विल टुगेदर कम टुगेदर एंड गेट दोस रोड्स रिपेयर्ड सो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि आप जो एक रिलीजन के लोग हैं उनके प्रॉब्लम्स एक जैसे ही होते हैं ऐसा कोई जरूरी बात नहीं है अलग अलग रिलीजन के लोग भी आखिरकार रहते तो एक ही सोसाइटी में है ना तो प्रॉब्लम्स एक जैसे हो सकती है अलग अलग रिलीजन के लोगों तो ये रास्ते को इस्तेमाल करना तो भाई हर रिलीजन का लोग इस्तेमाल करेंगे इस रास्ते को, और उस पे पॉटहोल्स होंगे तो ये एक डिफिकल्टी हर एक रिलीजन के इंसान के लिए होगी. सो आई तो डोंट थिंक कि इसमें कुछ भी रिलीजन का लेना देना है अगर आपको रास्ता ठीक कराना होगा. बट दीज आर ट्राइबल मैटर्स ऑल्सो. उसमें भी लोग आजकल क्या करते हैं, रिलीजन को जोड़ के रखते हैं, और उन्हें लगता है कि अगर हमारे रिलीजन के लोगों का कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो ही हम उसको सॉल्व करेंगे, हमारे रिलीजन के लोगों का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो हम उसको सॉल्व नहीं करेंगे. This kind of thought process is not correct. In its extreme form, communalism leads to the belief that people belonging to different religions cannot live as equal citizens within one nation. Hitler, who could be the better example for this, right? Hitler felt that only he and his German Nordic Aryans were suitable to stay in Germany, whereas the people belonging to Jewish religion considered them as his enemy. So as a kind of communalism, I have to give him an example I can give about communalism. And he felt that they do not have equal rights as a citizen in the nation of Germany, which is certainly not true. Why are those two girls sleeping there? Put your heads up. Either of them has to dominate the rest as they have to form different nations. So they feel. Another example, when we read the fifth point here, you get the example of India and Pakistan. Pakistan was getting partitioned from India. It was feeling we can't stay with Hindus. Some Muslims of Pakistan, they felt that we can't stay with the Hindus of India. Ultimately, we will be dominated by them. So they felt that partition to hona hi hona. And without partition, their existence only would have been threatened. This is what they felt. And that is why they ended up getting the country partitioned. So this is the way things have taken an ugly turn when the mindset is having communal kind of thinking. Forms of communalism in politics. Communalism can take various forms in politics. The most common form of communalism is in everyday religious ideas of people. And that those ideas may constitute like superiority, prejudices, stereotypes. There are some people, that एक कोई तो सेंटेंस आया था बीच में, नॉट एवरी माय नेम इज खान एंड आई एम नॉट अ टेररिस्ट, ऐसा कोई तो हिंदी में कोई बोल रहा था, है ना, ऐसा लाइन आया था किसी ने. इज इट
कौन सा
ऐसा कोई कहीं तो आया था. बिकॉज दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ सेट प्रेजुडिसेस दैट पीपल हैव मेड कि हाँ मुस्लिम्स है ना टेररिस्ट होते. ऐसा कुछ
पॉलिटिशियन ने बोला था.
See what kind of comments people are passing on. Are these comments in any way correct, beta? No. Just because of one or two people, the whole community or rather the whole religion is getting modified. This is not the correct way to be done, but the things didn't happen. Prejudices are set. यहाँ हमारा religion बहुत अच्छा है, हमारे religion में सारे moral values हैं. इनके रिलीजन में तो कुछ भी नहीं है. इनके रिलीजन की बात हो रही है, that is not to be the point to be tested. But yes, people they feel that our religion is only the best. People often believe that the ideas of their religion are superior to the ideas of other religion. The ideas and the ideals, the interests of a particular religion are given more importance. What do you understand by the idea and ideals? What are the difference between them? What is the difference between the
Ideas
Ideas are the thoughts and ideals are the persons which implement that.
The ideas from the principles of the person which they follow.
Okay, and what are you saying? Ideals are?
The things from which we take action.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone about ideals?
Suppose he like a person who is ideal.
Correct. So something which we consider as perfect.
Yes,
Right.
that's the
So कोई चीज अगर perfect हो, किसी को हम perfect समझते हो, तो उसे हम क्या कहते हैं? Ideals कहते हैं. So ideas are the thoughts. Ideals are something that we consider to be correct and perfect. Interests, self-interest. My religion needs this. My religion wants this. Or the people of my religion are actually good at that. This kind of interest. Let's say get silence in the class, you all know I don't feel. So interests of a particular religion, they are given more importance. The demands of a religious group are against the demands of other religious group. So one religion is asking for one thing, the entirely opposite thing is asked by the other religion. So how are you going to settle out this thing? Even the Babri Masjid case if you take, or the Ram Mandir case if you take, the exactly place where Babri Masjid was there, it was claimed that the Ram temple was also at the same place. But it was beautifully solved at the end, I must say. Even the land was allocated to rebuild the Babri Masjid. At the same time, the Ram temple was also built, thereby giving importance to both the religions in the society. So I think the Supreme Court did a good job here. It did not favor anyone, it did not let the other go in vain. It has done a middle part was taken for solving this particular point. So how the religious demands were completely different there. In that matter, if you talk about the Ayodhya case, you will see the exact place where a masjid was there, a temple had to be built. So but at one place you can't have two things at the same time, at the same location, at a pinpointed location. So that was a debateful thing, but yes, it was solved well by the country. And the people of the particular religion often want the maximum representation of their religion in the politics. हमारे कंट्री में मेजोरिटी रिलीजन कौन सी है? हिंदू. तो हिंदू ही मेजोरिटी में पॉलिटिक्स में भी होने चाहिए. आफ्टर ऑल वो होते भी हैं, क्योंकि कंट्री में जो लोग मेजोरिटी में है वही तो आगे आएंगे ना पॉलिटिक्स में. आप एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते कि वो जो मेजोरिटी लोग है वो पीछे रह जाए और कोई और ही माइनॉरिटी आके लीड करे. बेल्जियम तो है नहीं हमारी कंट्री में, है ना. तो ऐसे में जो मेजोरिटी है वही आके लीड करने लगते हैं. बट उसमें क्या होता है, जो माइनॉरिटी रिलीजियस ग्रुप्स है उनके डिमांड्स कंप्लीटली इग्नोर भी होते रहते हैं. दैट इज रॉन्ग, दैट शुड नॉट हैपन. They want elected representatives from their in the political system from their religion, and this leads to domination of the majority community. So that's actually it's not that we should avoid that, but the majority community that is coming into power, it should also take into recognition the minority rights. The minorities should not be completely ignored every time. Then the people of minority community then demand for a separate state of themselves. You had seen in Sri Lanka, that's what happened. The Tamil-speaking people of Sri Lanka, the native Tamils, they were not getting any rights. Yes. So then what did they demand for themselves? Tamil, yes, a separate state for themselves, a separate country. Are we ending up making different parts of a country then? Are we planning to have much more partitions? Certainly not. So then there is a need that we need to have harmony. We need to have give responsibilities about the different religions to ourselves. Not just the majority religion that's going to rule, but it's also the other religious groups that should get sufficient representation and say when it comes to the politics. That is called as political mobilization, where activities of the people in the government or the politics, they motivate the masses to express themselves and undertake a particular political action. When you are motivating people to create the sense of harmony in them, create a sense of secularism in them, where there are no religious fights among the people of different religion, and communal harmony if you are trying to make, it's a positive political mobilization. But if a politician is supposed trying to instigate people, trying to tell them कि नहीं अलग अलग रिलीजन से आप हो, चलो झगड़ा करते रहेंगे हम लोग, there shouldn't be any peace, क्योंकि अगर आप लोगों में झगड़ा होगा तभी तो पॉलिटिशियंस को मजे मिलेंगे, उनको मसाला मिलेगा, उसके ऊपर वो वोट मांग सकते हैं. Then that is completely wrong. I hope I'm making sense all the way up to here.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any doubt anyone has? In fact, I'm reading each point and I'm explaining so that people remember these things on a long term. How much time are we having?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 1 minute. Oh, we have a good 5 minutes. And we can have 3 minutes. 3 minutes, then I'm having a good 3 minutes. I can complete 3 more points in that 3 minutes. So all of you pay attention. Now, some political mobilization is not good, as I discussed before also. There they are trying to instigate people against each other, provoke them for fighting with each other. And for that, they use sacred religious symbols also. They make use of the religious leaders to appeal to the public of that religion. It attempts to bring all the people of one religion together. तो अगर हम पॉलिटिशियन को देखें और अगर वो पॉलिटिशियन कुछ एरियाज में कुछ प्लेसेस में तो ऐसे भी लोग पॉलिटिशियन बन गए हैं जो एक समय में कुछ बाबा बाबा हुआ करते थे या योगी महात्मा हुआ करते थे या फिर एक रिलीजियस हेड हुआ करते थे. They end up becoming politician in our countries. I see it's not bad if they are doing good for the nation. Certainly it is not bad. But simply because they belong to that particular religion, they are the promoter of that religion. So they should also be brought in the politics. This is not a good idea. Because after coming in politics, they are not supposed to do the religious duties, right? They will be given the political governmental duties to follow. And in that, they are not able to be they are not able to do justice, then certainly the whole purpose itself is failed.
Yeah.
I have not taken the name of anyone. It's you who are saying.
I'm telling he earned money and ran away.
Now, political leaders, they pay special attention to the demands of their own religion at the cost of the other religions. So these political leaders who have some, ties attached to their religion, then they will end up being more. Of course, it happens because these people, if a politician is having a religious background, if he is coming from a religious career background, then certainly he will be more focused in making development for that religion to which he belongs. Will he be having an attitude of being completely unbiased when it comes to making policies or taking any decisions where religion is involved? That's difficult. What happened? Anyone any doubt? Is it already 8:35, so you are eager to rush out of the classroom?
No.
1 minute is remaining.
Second.
Done. Okay, correct.
Why is this class so eager to run away? Run. Go.
दादा घर में तो बोल दे एक ही बार बोल दे बार
मैंने सुना
हो जाएगी फिर क्या हुआ मैंने मेरे भाई ने दे देगा बाहर ना कर सकती
कुछ हो रहा है आपको कर रहा है चलते हैं क्या रे सब ज्यादा क्या
Advanced
But yeah,